Well, he has quite a wicked sense of humor. I cannot wait to introduce you to Paddy Hayes. And he's joining us. Imagine this as you're listening to this from the UK. Kent is where he is. And his book is Penguins to Paradise, My Life as an Advertising Man. So can you imagine the things that he's seen? If you crack open this book at any point, I'm serious, you will laugh out loud. Paddy, thanks so much for coming on.
Nice to be with you.
Let's talk about your career. Did you know that you were going to do this for a living? And then if you look back, and could you have imagined all these experiences?
Absolutely not. I have found at various points, important points in my career, that fate has made the decisions for me rather than me consciously deciding what to do. When I was in the last year or so at school, it became clear that if I tried really, really hard, I might just get to university and be effectively the first of my extended family to get to university. So this was exciting. But of course, question number one is, what would I study if I went to university? And the sexy subject at the time was sociology. So I applied to three universities to read sociology. And all three rejected me without even an interview. Nobody knew quite why, but there you go. So giving up in disgust, I went off with some friends and had a holiday in France. Whilst I was away, one of the universities wrote to me. My father opened the letter and it said, sorry, we weren't able to offer you a place in sociology, but we've got this new course which has been approved a little faster than we thought it would be. It's called Business Studies, the first of its type in the country. Please, if you would care to apply, and we will consider you. Well, my father wrote back in my name saying, thank you, I accept the place you've offered me in business studies, which of course they hadn't. But 3 weeks later I started and fate had chosen business studies for me, and fate couldn't have done a better job. And then at the end of my degree, or just close to the end, we were getting career advice, and the lecturers were repeatedly saying, look, whatever you do, don't bother applying to advertising agencies because the economy is really down at the moment. That means advertisers spend less and less money on advertising, which means the advertising agencies get lower revenue, so they won't be recruiting graduates this year. So what did I do? I applied to an advertising agency and I got accepted straight away. So once again, fate or my stupidity got me into a career which again I really enjoyed. I'm one of the lucky few, I think, who wakes up on a Monday morning and really doesn't feel dread, but feels, a feeling of looking forward to getting back to the office.
And of course, and that goes to the title of your book, Penguins to Paradise, My Life as an Advertising Man. So when I think of penguins and you think of animals and you think of advertising, there are definitely times when you use animals. And I can imagine penguins was the reason why you started with that. What was that like and what shoot was that?
Right. Well, my very first client and my very first agency was a company called United Biscuits, and United Biscuits make penguin biscuits. And the agency was struggling to find an idea for a new TV campaign for penguin biscuits. And I was in one of the very early creative meetings where all the creative department was saying, look, we don't have an idea. We don't know what to do. We're going to lose the business if we don't get an idea soon. And here's me, new young graduate, and I said, well, have we ever used or thought of using live penguins? Because they're so cute. They look like little men in dinner jackets. I was told to shut up. So silence again in the room. And then eventually the creative director said, well, maybe there's half an idea in there somewhere. Paddy, you go off to a library and find out what sort of penguin a penguin biscuit penguin is, because there are 17, I learned later, 17 different types of penguin. So off I went and found out it's an emperor penguin that we needed. So that was in January, and by June we were ready to shoot the first penguin biscuit commercial with live penguins. But we had all sorts of problems again. One should never work with children and animals, one hears in the industry. And we had terrible problems with the penguins. Problem number one being we were now shooting in the summer. and their winter plumage had gone, and they had summer plumage, which was brown and yellow. We wanted black and white penguins. So believe it or not, we actually ended up painting them with water-based paint. So, terrible problems.
Painting the penguins, I can just visualize that. And
Yes.
you and I talked off the air, and I asked you this question, who was your biggest client and what was your coolest launch that you ever did with them?
Yes, okay, I'll mention it again. My biggest client was M&M Mars, that make Mars chocolates, Mars pet foods, and Mars human foods. What I did for them, or one of the things I did for them, was to launch M&Ms into Moscow. A fascinating time. It was still when the Berlin Wall was in place, and it was still very much the Soviet Union, the old Cold War enemy. And we got permission to put up a stall in the Red Square. And there we were giving out bags of M&Ms to parents and children who couldn't understand at all why these Americans would be giving away candy. Is there a catch somewhere, But we did this. We visited a number of homes for destitute children. We we sponsored a Bolshoi ballet performance for children of Moscow to visit, and of course they all had their M&Ms to eat as well during the show. And this proved great fun, but as I say, they just couldn't work out why this company, that's always been trying to bring down Mother Russia, these Americans, why were they giving away free candy? And we had a great time with the children.
I love that. I love that story. I mean, I could just see them. What are M&Ms? What does that mean? And then tasting them and watching their faces as they tasted what an M&M was probably spectacular.
There's one other story actually that goes with it if we have the time, and that is we had to get the M&Ms into Russia. And it was decided that the way to do this would be to get a truck from their Dutch factory to go overland and in across the border. I got one of the account directors to go to the border in advance to talk to the customs officers and make sure that with a little help of his expenses, they might be prepared to nod the product through without too many problems.